gather in this place this morning. As you meet with us, as we meet with each other, just speak to our hearts and minds. We ask and pray in Jesus' name. Amen. Amen. Welcome, everybody. Welcome, Bob. A couple announcements. The big announcement is that I'm not preaching today. That's the big announcement. Wow. All God's people said amen. Amen. Yeah. So, but Elizabeth Lord will be preaching today. She's gonna preach, but also share about fish. Which I keep saying, oh, she's speaking about fish. My kids were like, what? And I'm like, oh, that's an acronym. I should probably explain that. But she'll explain it to you. And so she's going to be here today, which will be good. The actual big announcement is that next Saturday, and looking like it's going to be nice, is our picnic. And so we'll keep sending out emails. But it's going to be it's on Kirkwall Road. 3 o'clock roughly. You don't have to show up at 3, obviously. It's kind of 3 till 7:30. It's looking like it's going to be nice, so that's good. I've been checking the weather every day, twice a day, just seeing. But it looks like it's going to be nice. And so that's next Saturday, roughly, 3 to kind of 7. And whatever, the first half, the alphabet, you bring something, and the second half, you bring something else. It's all at the back there. But let us know if you're coming, because we buy the meat and we buy a bunch of drinks and stuff. And so just kind of have a rough idea of numbers, if you could let us know. And if you're new and you're like, I want to come to your picnic, you are welcome to come to the picnic. Yeah. So that's next week. So that's kind of the big one. There's no announcements at the back, and usually they scroll through, and they're amazing. I don't know what they are. And so I'm just looking around if any hands go up. Anything really important that I'm going to miss. Oh, yeah, garage sale. That's the big one. That's the 14th. So the 14th is the actual garage sale, but starting next weekend, you can start bringing all your stuff in. So yeah, next weekend you can bring all your stuff in. We'll keep it here, and then on the 14th, tell your neighbors. We'll send out some I don't know, little social media stuff. You can just throw it up on Facebook and add it around. That would be helpful. That's it. Sunday schools. Okay, so we give our wonderful Sunday school teachers the summer off, and so to do that, there's 2 choices. One, we just let your kids run wild through the neighborhood. The other is, which I'm all for. It's great. The other option is that everybody else picks a Sunday. Everybody else picks a Sunday, and they just sign up, and then we get it all covered off. It's pretty good. And usually we combine some of the classes too. So over here, you'll see against that far wall there. There we go. Thank you, Vanna. And as you do that, people get that, right, Van? Okay, I'm not that old, right? And so just pick a week and say, you know what, I'm here, I can do this, I can sign up, and then we'll get back to you, figure out the details. But again, everything's there for you. You're not writing curriculum at home. You can show up, keep the kids safe, and that's considered pretty good for summer Sunday school. That's pretty excellent. So, but it does give them a time. It gives them a break, and so we would appreciate that a lot. I think I see that hand. Yeah, right here. Wednesday, 7 o'clock, we meet in the community center there. It's a bit of a thinner, lighter book we went with this time after a couple thicker, heavier books. Physically longer or just theologically heavier. This one's a little bit lighter, but yeah, so if you're like, hey, I want to be a part of that, just come talk to us and we can get you a book by 4 Wednesday. So. Throwing pebbles at people. Throw another pebble on the pile. Yeah. So I'm almost done. I'm like, what is the title? I've read most of the book. Yeah. Yeah, it's by a Canadian pastor, so which is kind of nice. Keep it Canadian. And just her movement into pastoring and just kind of a lot of the obstacles that she faced and kind of prejudices and whatnot. Oh, it's coming up too. Just keep in mind. On the 29th we do, or 28th, whatever the last Sunday in June is our AGM. And again, it's a different Sunday. We just do a potluck that morning. Everybody brings food. We eat. We do kind of a communion time. And then we just go into our AGM that morning. So that way you're not here all afternoon. They're always a barn burner every year, so it's good times. You don't want to miss it. It's usually a couple of fist fights if it's a good one. So, no, I'm just kidding. They run pretty smooth, and we're out here pretty quick. So if you do want to stay for the AGM, you're like, what do I do with my kids? We will have someone, and they'll put a movie on. We should put a movie on there. We have games in the gym so your kids can pick. But don't worry, we'll take care of your kids. And so, yeah. That's it for announcements. Do say welcome this morning, and when we grab our coffee in a minute. Oh, wait. Oh, newcomers lunch. Man, this IT thing threw me right off this morning. I'm literally on my hands and knees under the computer as Tom's moving out of the way, and Gitch is like, "Good morning, let's start." And I'm like, "Oh, what in the world?" So yeah, that always throws me for a loop. Thankfully, I'm so cool, calm, and collective. Didn't throw me at all. You haven't noticed. But we do have a newcomer's lunch today, right after church. Just give us like 15 minutes. We're going to set up in there. If you're new today, or if you've only been here like once or twice, you're totally welcome to come. Like, just come for lunch. But if you're new roughly in the last 6 months, kind of idea, come on out. We'll just eat, yeah. Like, you can grab a coffee there, and then we'll set up some tables, and depending how many people show up. But we got lots of food, so it'll be good. Yeah. And that's right after church, so just stick around and just kind of walk through the door next door there. I believe that's it now, right? The newcomer's lunch, yeah. Okay, all right, sweet. Good, eh? Not bad, not bad. Without my EV help, so. Anyways, I do want to say welcome, everybody. I actually don't know what's happening next. I still don't know. Because you're not coming back up. Yeah, I think we're going to go grab, we're going to take our kids. So take your kids through these doors into the gym. That's for Sunday school. And grab a coffee or a tea right through those doors into the room next door. We'll come back in just a couple of minutes. Just grab a coffee or a tea. We'll be back in about 4 minutes. On back, come on back, make your way back. Make your way back in. And while you are making your way back in, just a quick reminder that in the coffee room next door, Elizabeth will be talking about fish and everything, but just next door, in case you walk out the back door and don't go, there's a bunch of things, because again, these women in Cambodia have made a lot of these things, and so just make sure you check that out after as well. Yeah, so you can see some of the handiwork, and I don't know, maybe buy some of it or something. Support the work. So, yeah, buy early, buy often, as I say. So, but walk up, there's probably a few people still coming in, but I'm going to introduce, Mel's going to come up. Mel's the chair of the board. She's coming up, and I believe it's all you. Mel, everybody.
Hello. Okay, I'm just making sure that funny guy wasn't behind me while I was speaking. That was kind of funny earlier. Yeah, Lee. Morning, everybody. My name's Melissa Carter, and I'm here to just speak on behalf of the leadership team. I have some exciting updates for everyone, as well as an announcement about the future of the church, both here locally and globally. So as we stepped into 2025, the leadership team spent a lot of time in prayer. We looked back at where we have been, and then we were looking forward with hopeful anticipation. We recognize that God has been incredibly faithful through us in this season of transition that we've been in. But we recognized that there was some real gaps in our community life. Through this time of visioning, we remain focused on the heart of our mission, and that is to grow and flourish spiritually. One thing became increasingly clear to us, and that was that we had to become more intentional with our focus in two specific key areas. How are we to grow in our faith outside of Sunday morning? And how are we to engage in the broader community? As we prayed and discussed about how to meet these needs, it became clear that to do this well, we needed to invest more deeply. This is to focus and to use our resources. Right now, our current staffing and volunteer structures aren't enough to fully support where we believe God is leading us. So, today, I'm excited to share with you that after much prayer and discernment, the leadership team is recommending the development of a new staff position to fill in this gap. We are proposing the role of Director of Community Engagement and Spiritual Formation. This is a position designed to address both of these key focus areas. Community engagement would be to lead outreach initiatives, creating connection points beyond our Sunday gatherings, and equipping others to share the gospel in our everyday life. Spiritual formation would be to cultivate small groups, organize retreats, and create opportunities for deeper spiritual practices. Once we had clarity around the role itself, we began to pray about who might be called to serve in this position. One name clearly became clear to us, and that was Norm Senema. While Norm is relatively new to CCC, he's certainly not new to many of us on the leadership team. We've known about Norm and respected him for many years in his ministry here in Cambridge, and we've seen firsthand his deep commitment to the church and to discipleship and to the community. Many of you know Norm from his years of ministry in Cambridge. He recently retired from his position as senior pastor and brings with him over 30 years of experience in equipping churches, leading people, teams, and individuals in sharing the love of Jesus. Norm's heart for missions and discipleship runs deep. He's led more than 20 missions trips, spent 10 years church planting in a very diverse community. He's been very deep in many outreach efforts. In his retirement, Norm has felt very called to a supportive ministry role, one where he can continue to use his gifts to build relationships and foster spiritual growth, not from the pulpit, but through direct engagement with the church body. As we spent time getting to know Norm, the leadership team has really sensed the Lord's leading in this connection. The conversations that we've shared with him has been rich, encouraging, and affirming. We truly believe that this is the next right step for the church. We're excited to let you know that Norm will be joining us next Sunday to speak to this church about his discipleship, mission, and the local church. It'll be a great opportunity for all of us to hear his heart and get to know him better. Our proposal is to bring forward Norm as a one-year term, starting part-time over the summer and increasing to 30 hours a week in the fall. This proposed role will be voted on as part of our annual general meeting through the approval of the 2025 budget. While we continue to invest in building up our local community, we've also been prayerfully considering how God is calling us to engage with global missions. A few months ago, we shared our desire to be more strategic in how to give and serve globally. From that process, 3 focus areas emerged from our local and global outreach: children and youth, poverty, and human sex trafficking. We'll be sharing about our local mission strategy at the AGM, but today I wanted to highlight an exciting development from the global perspective. Stefan and Elizabeth Lohr became our missionary liaisons a few years ago, helping us to connect with our missionaries. Through that relationship, we were also introduced to Fish in Cambodia, which they have a personal connection with. Last year, we introduced a broader strategy to our global mission work, one that included both formally supported missionaries and a group that we referred to as the affiliated missionaries. These affiliated missionaries are missionaries that we would share a relationship with, seek to stay connected with, follow them, and pray for them. We formalized that relationship over a year ago with Fish as an affiliate missionary. With the departure of our 2 previously supported missionaries, there was a gap in our mission strategy and a budget, and this has opened the door for more intentional and stronger relationship with global missions that focused on creating a value and aligned with our theme. After much discernment, we're pleased to share that the leadership team has decided to formally partner with Fish by committing $10,000 of our global mission budget this year to support their work. We believe that this is the beginning of a long-term relationship, and we're very excited to see where God leads. We want to bring both of these updates to you, both the local ministry and global missions, as we head into our AGM at the end of the month. We ask that you prayerfully reflect over these 2 things that we're bringing forward to you. Reflect over them, pray about them, and bring forward the questions if you need. The AGM is a meaningful moment in our church life when we come together as a body to seek God's will, make decisions, and celebrate what he's doing among us. Next week, we look forward to hearing from Norm and his heart, and hearing what his calling is for the next season. And now it's my joy to bring forward Elizabeth, as she's going to tell us a little bit more about Fish and how we can be more actively engaged with Fish.
This is a video on Cambodia.
This is Southeast Asia, and here is Cambodia. Now, hold on, shall we? It isn't known when Cambodia was first inhabited, but bones found in Samrong Sen indicate that the ancients closely resembled modern Cambodians. They gathered in villages and fished and herded pigs and water buffalo and grew rice. Some even think rice cultivation started here, all of course subject to the weather's whims. And there wasn't much to do with the wet season when the monsoons dictated the terms. Now at some time, no one knows when, Indian culture began tiptoeing into Cambodia and finding a welcome home. The people even took to wearing turbans rather than straw paddy hats. By the 500s AD, India had given Cambodia a religion, a written script, a system of absolute monarchy, as well as their brand of architecture, astronomy, and more. Now while there was a comfortable elite class, the commoners did not live so daintily. The Chinese described them as ugly with frizzy hair. They wear neither clothing nor shoes. Cambodia became a mighty power with the rise of the Khmer Empire, and yes, that is how it's pronounced. This Hindu-Buddhist state was supported by the rice-farming masses and slaves, who propped up an elite class, fond of parading about with gold on their elephants, launching military campaigns, and building big things. And the Khmer artists and architects were indeed highly skilled. Amid the usual pernicious power struggles in palace politics, there arose Surya Burma II, who built the biggest religious building in the world, Angkor Wat, the apex of Khmer architecture. Likely meant to be a mausoleum, Angkor Wat is a staggering feat of construction and artistry, an immense silent ceremony of sandstone encircled by a mile of bas-reliefs of gods and girls and lotuses, topped by pine-cone towers. Jain Varman VII was the king during the empire's prime, and after him, the state slowly lessened in power. Sri Lankan monks introduced Theravada Buddhism, which would become the main religion of the country. The empire's exhausting wars against neighbors like Siam saw it decline and die in 1400s, setting up shop somewhere else, only for that to be destroyed as well by Siamese forces, angered by Cambodian incursions into their land. Cambodia's days of glory were long gone. Its mighty temples of stone were neglected and forgotten and swallowed by the jungle. By the 19th century, humbled Cambodia was divided up between Siam and Vietnam. This sparked King Norodom to agree to make Cambodia a protectorate of France, thus salvaging his nation from geographic deletion. So Cambodia became a piece of French Indochina. The French abolished slavery and introduced modern technologies and medicine, which resulted in a massive growth in population. A Second World War saw the Japanese occupation of Cambodia, after which Cambodia moved for and eventually won its independence in 1953. The king kept his country neutral during the Cold War and opposed US airstrikes on targets in his territory during the Vietnam War. He was ousted in a coup, and after the ensuing civil war, the country was under the rule of Cambodian communists, or Khmer Rouge, led by Pol Pot. Educated in Paris, he was introduced to Marxism, and little did his circle of intellectual friends know that he would become one of the century's most ruthless dictators. Like many disciples of Marx, Pol Pot had a lot of bright ideas and not a lot of patience to implement them. An atheist, he outlawed all religions and dreamed of returning Cambodia to its agrarian past, and therefore banned everything Western, even medicine, and emptied the cities, forcing the people to toil on collective farms. The total number of deaths from forced labor, starvation, torture, disease, and execution in the infamous killing fields was about 2 million, or a quarter of the whole country's population. But then Cambodia foolishly attacked Vietnam, and Vietnam invaded. Pol Pot fled, and Vietnam occupied the country until 1992. Though the craziness has stopped, Cambodia still languishes under a dictatorship, and the country is one of the world's most corrupt, suffering from widespread poverty. But the economy has grown, and several million people travel here annually, gazing upon those marvelous wonders from long ago when this country ruled an empire. Here's hoping Cambodia sees better days. But until then, bye-bye.
Hi. I hope that didn't overwhelm you. That's Cambodia. Thank you so much to CCC for taking on Rota and Sanat as your affiliated missionaries. Rota and Sanat are directors of FISH and the center, and you will get to know them someday, I'm sure. Well, let me just go back to that whole thing about abuse and of power in Cambodia. It's got a history of brokenness, and therefore it's got a very deep history of trauma. The Pol Pot and Khmer Rouge, they wanted to oppose all opposition. So one of their strategies was to kill all of the educated people first. All the doctors, teachers, lawyers, all the educated people. They killed them first. They destroyed all of the universities, all of the libraries, all of that. Anything that might cause someone to think differently. Families were separated during this terrible time. Siblings from siblings, siblings from parents, and sent to different places in the country. When the Khmer Rouge wanted to indoctrinate people into how to kill, they even used children. They desensitized young boys by torturing animals, so that then they could go and they could torture human beings. That is how brutal this administration was. So after the war was over, families sought to reunite with each other. I know someone who is the sole survivor of 38 members of their family. Cambodia is a Buddhist country with that twist of Hinduism in it. Less than 2% of the population are Christian. Buddhism and this Hinduism mix is followed loosely now. Most people mix up their belief systems, not unlike Canada in that way, really. For many people, though, there is no hope. Their minds go into this cycle of reincarnation. Karma is a big deal. How do they deal with all this pain and all this from the Khmer Rouge and having witnessed and be alive with all that survivor guilt? How do you work that out? What I was told was, don't think too much. So denial. Denial is the way they have worked it out. They haven't had the trauma counseling and all of this like you or I might have in Canada. So generational trauma is very, very deep. And hope is not there in a lot of cases. And what do you do when there's no hope? Well, unimaginable things is what you do when there's no hope. There's no value to life. People in the countryside, parents and grandparents and so on, are easily seduced into sending their offspring, particularly the girls, to the city to work in factories, to raise money for sending home to them, because these are very poor families. Little do they know that many times what they are doing is that they are actually selling their children into sex trafficking. Praetia is in an industrial area, and that is where the center and fish exist. In Cambodia, can you believe this? 1.75 million people work in factories. 80% of those are women, and they are 80% of them are under 35 years old. Employment starts at 15 years old. These young women work 60 hours a week in sweaty factories making the clothes you're probably wearing. And they make $200 a month. They live in appallingly tight, inadequate housing and have terrible diets. Beer there is less expensive than some rice and vegetables. So when you consider a 15-year-old and living with numerous 15-year-old girls, what do you get up to? It leaves them so vulnerable to being trafficked, to doing night shifts down the road at a karaoke bar. Unexpected pregnancies can result, and then they get into these quick, untenable marriages. They send the children to the grannies in the countryside who raise the children until the children start to move and have legs, and the grannies can't chase after them, and they send them back to Praetia for the mothers to look after them. And so, as you can imagine, there are a lot of children on the street. Some mothers have had to resort to locking their children in the room while they go off to work in the factories during the day, or tying the children up in the room. Survival requires extremely difficult choices. For a 15-year-old, you can imagine having to pay your rent, food, and your medical bills, and the medical bills for your child, and your medical bills for your family up in the countryside. So loan sharks are everywhere. So this is a diagram here of the center. I want you to understand this because I know it's a little complex. But this is the center. It has 4 primary functions and is thoroughly Cambodian from its conception right through to today, and will go on that way because they are Cambodians serving Cambodians, so they are not going to leave when times get tough. They're there. These are their people. This is their remnant to save for Jesus Christ. So this is the center. You will see that there are 4 circles there. There's Fish, the elementary school. There is evening school, church, and social. All of this is what we refer to as the center. The center began in 2005 with Sanat and a couple of his Christian friends. They had a vision of teaching factory workers English by using the Bible. After Rota and Sanat were married, a number of years later, the 2 of them took on the center, working day and night to keep the doors open for discipleship. They expanded their reach to teaching Khmer to foreigners, which is how Stefan and I met them. And then they initiated a daycare. This became an impossible act. There are just way too many children and not enough people to be able to care for them. So kindergarten then was replaced by daycare, and that was in 2016. And these were all baby steps leading to starting a school, Fish. Rhoda asked me if I would mentor her personally, to teach her the Bible and about faith, prayer, interpersonal relationships, business, and how to develop the center. She'd only been a Christian for a short while and was just a young mom. Well, at that point, she wasn't even a mom. She was just a young married woman. After serious prayer about this request, God literally said to me, I don't have you in Cambodia to learn Khmer. I have you there to use what you already know. What words from God right in my head. So I dropped my language learning. I focused my work, as I had already been doing in prisons, teaching spiritual formation. And I centered on mentoring Rota. Like any good fisherwoman, Rota knows how to sink a hook and reel you in. Before long, I was doing spiritual formation and Bible classes with 13 young adults at the center. Her goal for these students was to deepen their understanding of the Bible and who Jesus is, to make them confident to be able to share the gospel with others. It was a weekly class for a couple of years, but during that week, our apartment, was home to these kids as they made cards, as they made those key chain things that you got the other day, you women. They made things to sell. But in that time was incredibly valuable because they learned how to speak English very well. And they got to know each other very well. And they got to eat our food and flush our toilets, which was really amazing. These became the backbone to the center. So in this time before COVID, we had 350 primary students enrolled in Fish. And many classes were going on for English in the evenings. Then all the schools in the country were shut down because of COVID, and the factories were all shuttered. The Ministry of Education put into effect that the capacity of our building could not exceed 200 primary students, and that the school could no longer be used as a dorm. In Cambodia, as many places in Asia, a house can accommodate many people. I'm happy to tell you about the 13 disciples that I worked with. 3 couples came out of that group. They married and now have children and are serving in Christian ministry, all 3 couples. 2 women remain single, and they are very important teachers at Fish. One is an administrator, one is a principal. Kim Tong, out of that class, is a bank manager. One woman, sadly, ran away and she had a baby, but now that baby is 6 years old and at Fish. And one woman is married and has a child and doesn't want to go to church or Fish anymore. One other young man got married, and his mother-in-law has forbidden him and her daughter from going to church or anywhere near the center. This, I tell you, just so you understand a little bit about the Cambodian culture and how Buddhism is very strong there. It's not a walk in the park for Christians, I assure you. Since 2007, many believers have been baptized. Since recording their baptisms over the last 8 years, they have baptized 360 people. Hundreds of young people have come to follow Jesus and are in universities and work throughout the country. Everyone in Pratia, the town, knows that if there's an emergency, you go to the center. In 2017, Fish was registered with the Cambodian Ministry of Education as a primary international school. This is God's work, and it's done for His glory. And He has faithfully provided for the needs there of rent, school supplies, scholarships for the children. Part of my role with Rota and Sanat is to guard them, really. It's a very interesting ministry, and many, many people want to go from Canada or around the world. They want to go and witness it and be part of it, be part of a team. I just want to tell you that teams are a great blessing, but they can also be a very complicated thing on the field. And Rota and Sanat are very aware of these optics. They don't want to be seen as having some foreign agency giving them lots of money. They don't want the responsibility of that target on their back for extortion. They don't want themselves to be maligned, to think that, oh, what they do is only for money. So optics are very important, as you can well imagine. So this is Rota. This is Rota in the early years. Her name actually is Kay Chantuk, but they always change their names. They love changing their names. Kamais are just beautiful. Look at that girl. She was a daughter of a fisherman up on the Mekong Valley, up on the Mekong River, I should say, down on the Mekong River. Early every morning, she would go fishing with her dad because she managed the boat. And I'm talking early in the morning. Her ankles and hands would get all torn up through mud, sand, and dirt after she changed her clothes and walked across the channel. When it was a dry season, she walked 10 kilometers to school. In the rainy season, she'd swim across that channel, holding her books in the air. And then she would walk the remaining kilometers to school. This is a determined person with a high regard for education. She was clever, quick, and she had big dreams. Her personal motto is, if you can do it, I can do it. When Rota was 14, she moved to Phnom Penh with her mom. She worked in a print shop and she made $15 a month. Then they moved to Pratia and she washed dishes at a factory that employed 2,000 people. So she washed dishes there until they discovered that she was underage. So they fired her. Her salary was $50 a month there. So she helped her mom sell food on the street. And then when the factory workers weren't there buying food, Rota would go and visit different tailors and figure out how they sewed things and about their sewing machines. So really, she became quite an expert at 14 on sewing machines. So not to be put off or anything, Rota went and she put her application in other places, at other factories. And one factory hired her, even though she was not the right age, but they did it because she could work on sewing machines and she could read and write, the value of education. In the factory, 1 week she was made a sewing leader. And then she became a line supervisor. Leadership is Rhota's superpower. A Christian team from Hong Kong came into the factory district there and showed the Jesus film. When the pastor asked if anyone wanted to know more about Jesus, she was the only one in that crowd to put up her hand. This Holy Spirit had touched her, and tears flowed from her eyes, and the Chinese team came and gathered around her and prayed, and she understood every word that they said, not like the monks when they chant their prayers. You don't understand what they're saying. The supernatural power of Jesus Christ was with her. In the days following, she met Sanat with the English classes. So a little bit about Sanat. Sanat's a son of a fisherman too. Poor family. He's the eldest. And he has 7 sisters. His family fishes about 300 kilometers up the Mekong River. Sanat was also and is a very bright person, but he won a scholarship to go to Phnom Penh to further his education. It's a very unique thing when you think that under 2% of people are Christian in Cambodia, and Sanat had an older woman lead him to Jesus Christ in the countryside and give him a Bible. He came to the Lord full on in 1998. So when he went to Phnom Penh to further his education, he was in a Christian dorm and under the tutelage of Christian men. At the end of his education, he was given a gift, $3. And he was told, you take this, Sanat, and you go follow God's calling on your life. You go do what God has called you to do. And that's when he started the center. After Rota attended these night classes, they developed an innocent relationship, and they were married a year later. She went, and this whole center is a result of it. With this dynamo team, their goal as a couple was to serve the poor in Cambodia. This is them with their 3 children, Timothy, Moses, and Sema. When I teach spiritual formation in Cambodia, it was a big learning thing for me. But one of the most incredible things was, I found, to talk about Creator God. It's a concept they knew nothing about. They believe in a cycle of reincarnation, not creation. So imagine people's faces when I would read to them Psalm 139. You make all the delicate inner parts of my body and knit them together in my mother's womb. Thank you for making me so wonderfully complex. It is amazing to think about. Your workmanship is marvelous, and how well I know it. You were there while I was being formed in utter seclusion. You saw me before I was born and scheduled each day of my life before I began to breathe. Every day was recorded in your book. Imagine how mind-blowing this is. Eyes light up. I am uniquely made. I am intended. I was loved even before I was born. I've been created by the same God that created the moon and stars and all the trees and everything. Wow. Last week, Dan referred to reversals of norms as we studied women in Judges, and I thought a lot about that. I thought a lot about the reversals of norms when he used that term. And I thought about Jesus and how Jesus goes in there and just breaks cultural norms all the time. And I thought of Rhoda, daughter from a poor fisher family, pushing through obstacles to get her education, facing rejection from her family for coming to Jesus Christ, facing reproof and embarrassment from her cohorts at the factory. But Rhoda's need for God was far greater than her ego. She reached out by faith, and he infused her with his love and his purpose. And this is all before she even met Sanat. Let's read Luke 8:43 to 48. Now there was a woman who had been suffering from hemorrhages for 12 years, and though she had spent all she had on physicians, no one could care for her. She came up behind Jesus, and she touched the fringe of his garment, and immediately her bleeding stopped. Then Jesus asked, "Who touched me?" When all denied it, Peter said, "Master, the crowds are all on you and pressing on you." But Jesus said, "Someone touched me, for I noticed that power had gone out of me." When the woman saw that she could not remain hidden, she came trembling, fell on her knees before Jesus, and she declared in the presence of all the people why she touched him and why now she was immediately healed. And you know what Jesus said to her? "Daughter, your faith has made you well. Go in peace." Daughter. Notice in Scripture how Jesus meets this unnamed invisible woman in her despair and in her odor, her fear. She was an outcast. Nobody would even take her money from her because it was unclean. Nobody would sit on a same chair anywhere. She was an outcast in her society. But not to Jesus. I just really wonder in that whole scenario there, when Jesus says, "Someone touched me," and then like Peter states the obvious, "No, everybody's crushing around you, Jesus. It's just that." And Jesus said, No, someone touched me." I wonder how shook those people around were when Jesus said, "Daughter, your faith has made you well. Go in peace." Imagine how those words felt to her. Imagine how those words of value must have sounded in her heart, the untouchable one. Her heart must have exploded, I'm sure. Jesus responded to her simple belief, her personal need, her trust. Jesus healed her in every possible way that day. And I reckon being called daughter was maybe the greatest gift of all.
fishing again, come next door, and you just check out some of the things, or find out when you're going to go to Cambodia on a trip, and you can sign up today. We're going to take our time of communion, but as Elizabeth shared about, because I changed my thoughts when she said that, when that woman heard her say daughter, and like it's one of those moments where your identity changes, right? Her identity had been this person who was an outcast, this person who was, unclean. And then in that moment, through the physical healing, but also through Jesus' words, her identity changes. And as we come to our time of communion, again, this is what we celebrate at communion, is our identity. It's who we are in a world where, there's lots of people kind of wandering around, and what is the purpose, and who am I, and all these things, these questions of identity. And in Exodus 24, when God has taken the people of Israel, and they brought them out of the Exodus, and they're waiting to go into the promised land, the first thing he does before they do anything is he gathers them all together, right? And they go to the mountain, and he gives them the law, and he kind of lays it all out. But then what he does, he invites Moses up. And again, you're not supposed to see God, right? Moses had been up there. But then he invites 70 elders too, and they all come up together, and then they all sit. They go up the mountain, they sit, and there's this place, and it kind of says the pavement is this kind of like cool-looking, whatever heaven pavement looks like. And then they eat together. It says that they just eat together. And this is the moment where God he changes their identity. They went from being slaves, right? They went to being under oppression to being a free people, and their new identity in God. And so in that moment, this is a huge moment for Israel. Like this is one of their defining moments. This defines who we are. But then when Jesus was with his apostles, with his disciples, he does the same thing. He invites them together, and he says, this is who you are. You were my disciples, and whatever you came from, fishermen and tax collectors and all these things. But then he brings them, because again, in Exodus, right, it's a new covenant, but it's a new identity. It's the new core of who you are. And so they eat together. And so when we come together and we eat together, Jesus does the same thing for us. He says, listen, every time you eat together, what are we being reminded? We're being reminded of who we are, being reminded of our identity, the core of who we are, which is what? It's Jesus' death, his death and his resurrection. And his life and his death, all of these things. And so when we celebrate, when we take the bread and the cup, we're not just celebrating just his death and resurrection, what that means for us. We're also celebrating that is who we are. This is the core of who we are. We are the resurrection people. We are the people who are in this world because of what Christ did for us. We have freedom because of what Christ did for us. We have life, and we have hope in all these things. And so as we take the bread and the cup, and as we think of the moment for Israel when they got their new identity, when we think of people like Rota when she found her new identity, when we think of the woman in the story when she found her, this is who we are. And so we're celebrating our identity. We're celebrating who we are in Christ, and that we are his people, we are his family. And ultimately we're celebrating that we are loved by him. And so as you take the bread and the cup this morning, especially if you struggle with feeling known by God, if you struggle with feeling loved by God, I want you to just take that bread and just in thankfulness and say thank you for loving me, right? And how much does he love us? Well, we know he was willing to give his life for us. And so as you take the bread and cup this morning, again, we pass it around. Just take it when it comes. You can hold it and wait. You kind of take it on your own time. But just to be reminded of our identity, and the core of that identity is God's love for us as his people. And so I hope you are reminded of that this morning. Let us pray, and then we'll pass around the communion. Lord, of all these things, Lord, all your teachings, your life, everything it taught us, Lord, your death and the freedom from sin, the resurrection and the freedom from death, all of these things, we celebrate, we say thank you. Because ultimately, Lord, we just say thank you that we are loved. And we pray that we know love in this life, but ultimately, Lord, we know the love of God in our life. And so as we take this bread and this cup this morning, pray, Holy Spirit, just remind us of that. As we walk into this next week, whatever it is we will face, may we know that we are truly loved. We are your sons, we are your daughters. This is who we are. And you've called us by name, and this is why we're here. And so we thank you for that. And so fill us, Holy Spirit, as we go. And remind us of your love. And then as we go into this world, Lord, may we share that love, especially with those who need to hear that this week. And so we ask and pray this in Jesus' name. Amen.
Thank you. Thank you for that great update, Elizabeth. That was very moving. Please join me as we sing one more song to start off this week. You stood before creation, eternity in your hands. You spoke the earth into motion, my soul now to stand. You stood before my failures, carried the cross for my shame. My sin weighed upon your shoulders, my soul now to stand. So what can I say? And what could I do but offer this heart, oh God, completely to you? So I'll walk upon salvation, your spirit alive in me, this life to declare your promise, my soul now to stand. So what can I say? And what can I do but offer this heart, oh God, completely to you? So what can I say? And what could I do but offer this heart, oh God, completely to you? So I'll stand with arms high and heart abandoned, in awe of the one who gave it all. I'll stand, my soul, Lord, to you surrendered. All I am is yours. So I'll stand with arms high and heart abandoned, in awe of the one who gave it all. I'll stand, my soul, Lord, to you surrendered. All I am is yours. All I am is yours. All I am is yours. Thank you for joining us this morning. Go in peace as you are salt and light into the places that God has called you into.